Welcome to Amazon Answers. I'm Jared, and today, excuse me, we are discussing. All right, yes, we're going there, ladies and gents. Actually, it's too hot for my hoodie, so I'm going to take off my hoodie. We are discussing Wonder Woman 2009. Oh boy, versus Bloodlines. So we're taking the two animated Wonder Woman movies and we're comparing them because we want to see, okay, what does one do better than the other? Spoiler alert, 2009 is the much better Wonder Woman movie. So let's do this. So Wonder Woman 2009 came out before there was like a DC animated movie universe and stuff. So they wanted to they gave like that's gonna be a fun discussion. Good evening, Jen. What's up, Parker? So the point about this is, so it's primarily taking inspiration from the Perez run, making some changes, like Steve being a love interest, and we all know how much fun that is. But so for this one is the one that I want to say it feels like an actual Wonder Woman animated. It feels like an actual Wonder Woman movie. Here's what I mean by that. It is ridiculously epic. There is like awesome music, battle scenes. It feels like a story out of Greek mythology, which guess what? Hey, what's up, NJ? That's what a Wonder Woman movie should be like. It should feel like you're watching something out of Greek mythology. And you know what happens with that? That's what it gets here. And it leads to a peak Wonder Woman movie. And there's like some of the best animated thing I have. It's the best animated it's the best animated soundtrack I have ever seen for a movie, like ever. You know, it says hot take: DC peaked in the early 2000s. That's not really a hot take, but I'll give you that. I'll give you that. In terms of animation movies, yeah, I'd probably give you that. But so so this movie starts with the Amazons and I guess like Ares' forces in the middle of this epic Lord of the Rings style battle. First time we see Hippolyta, it's one of those stereotypical things from like one of those movies where like everyone piles on and she's fighting and then she like knocks back and it's like slow motion. You see all of that. Yeah. But NJ, that's the other part that I had problems with. And here's one of the points with that. It's because one of the writers of this movie, I believe, let me check this one more time before I say anything. I believe the writer was story by Gail Simone. That should tell you something, because Gail is known for having really BS pairings with Wonder Woman. And it's one of the reasons why I don't have an overall positive opinion about her run. I just don't. I like the 2009. It was good, and one of the only two good ones out there. Yeah, exactly. With this one, for me, I at first didn't like it at all because of all that stuff. But here's the thing. As you guys know, I hate the King run of Wonder Woman. So, but what happened was I went back and started reading a bunch of like other stuff for Wonder Woman, like previous runs. That's why I have so many omnibuy and stuff like that. But the other thing that I saw was, okay, let me look at these animated movies that I didn't necessarily like. Okay. This is way better, considering. And yes, the only other good Wonder Woman movie is that. Yeah, exactly. But in terms of like the way it relates to Wonder Woman and her lore, even though she has questionable pairings, I do think that, yeah, even though there's questionable pairings in this, I definitely feel like the Wonder Woman, like this movie is the superior thing because it feels like Wonder Woman. It has that epic soundtrack. It has the plot is basically Ares is so Diana has to like escort Steve back to man's world. But what happens is what she also wants to do is like she has to fight Ares because Ares escaped from Themyscira. So she shows up and she shows up and she gears up and her mission is to fight Ares, kind of like Wonder Woman 2017, but less good, honestly. I'm gonna tell you that right there. Conversation, am I late? No, Hunter, we just started. Quite shameful that DC barely puts any effort into Wonder Woman films. Well, here's the thing. It's because, as Robert and I have said many times, they don't necessarily see, like, Wonder Woman as, like, a high-selling character yet. They should see it as a high-selling character, but, you know, they never, like, figure this out. I liked Wonder Woman 2009 animated film despite its flawed and such. I enjoyed the story for what it was. Yeah, exactly. And it's like with that, I still don't like Steve in this movie. I think he's really annoying and kind of problematic. But however, I really compared to 2000 to the Bloodlines movie, which I get the reasoning for why they wanted to do it, but there's some other things that are very questionable. 2017 proved otherwise. Face a man they hate it with a passion. No, the way Hollywood works is that when you get like 1984 that bombed, then Hollywood gets the message that that people want less Wonder Woman. It's not true, obviously, but it's like I could see why Hollywood may think that, but they're known for like overreacting to perceived failures and such. So I'm not necessarily believing that they hate her. I think Wonder Woman can have a good movie, but maybe just don't know how to execute it well. Well, yeah, because too many writers don't know Wonder Woman. And then imagine an absolute Wonder Woman movie. Bro, that would slap hard. How do you feel about Hippolyta's portrayal? Okay. In terms of this one, I like this Hippolyta better, and we'll talk about the Bloodlines movie later, because this one's more of a mother and stuff, and it's like even when they did the whole like contest and stuff, Dan DiDio's reaction, well, one guy is not the opinion of all of DC Comics, Britt. Sorry, NJ. One guy is not the opinion of all of DC Comics. I'm just going to tell you that right there. So then, she travels to Ares, fights Ares, and then there's like an Amazon that was in a relationship with Ares, and she's the one that like helps him escape. And then we get the epic battle. And then what I like about the next one is about the ending of this movie is that you have the establishment of the embassy, and then you have that dope scene where Wonder Woman goes and fights Cheetah, and then it's like everyone's like, "Look, it's Wonder Woman." I just love that. It is so good. And she like jumps and takes out Cheetah. Continuing on, the other thing that I really dig about this movie is, again, the action's great, but it also gets to the center of who Diana is. I liked when she first shows up in Man's World and sees like a girl be like going, they won't play with me because they think I'm not because I'm a girl. And then Diana teaches her how to like fight with a stick and stuff. So I dig that. I really like that. But continuing on with this, so then you get to, so here's, well, I'm going to talk about both broadly, and then I'll go into each detail, and you guys can ask me questions about it. When you get to Bloodlines, here's the problem with Bloodlines. It's so again, so when I had Sam Liu on and Sam directed it, he said that what they were trying to do is give Wonder Woman her Hush movie. In other words, a movie that would like introduce like Wonder Woman's elements, her villains and such, much like Hush does for Batman. I get that, and that works. That's fine. But I don't like, trust me, NJ, I don't like the Ares thing. So with Bloodlines, what happened with that is at the time, so as you guys know, the DC AMU started off as an adaptation of the new 52 series of like comics. It was like adapting that, and you had like Superman, Wonder Woman, and such. But then when you got to like Death of Superman and Reign of the Superman, as you guys have known, I've ranted about that. They all of a sudden wanted to put in more post-crisis stuff in there, and then it just completely caused the thing to fall apart. And one of the things that they did was they broke up Superman and Wonder Woman off screen. Britt and I have ranted about that in our DC AMU episode. And the problem is they adapted the rebirth approach where they were like, Diana basically gets back together with Steve in this movie, but she treats it they basically do the whole being with Clark was easy thing, or Steve going, you didn't have any time for me because you was always flying with Superman, and then he goes, well, I'm not flying with Superman anymore, and it just really got cringe as hell. And I really grew to this is the first time that I really started to strongly dislike the Steve Trevor as a character. It wasn't just King. King just confirmed it, where I was like, no, I'm done. I'm not interested. So then what you get here, it's basically undoing everything about the DC AMU that I was enjoying at the time, because it's like, because you guys know me, I like that period of DC and felt that like that was like where DC peaked, and the movies were actually really enjoyable. But you notice the minute they started to deviate from that, it just fell apart. It's almost like completely and pettily, if you will, going so hard on abolishing this initiative ended up like undermining their continuity. It's almost like Britt and I were right the entire time. We were, so there is that. But that's the chief issue here, because it's like when you do it in a petty way, which they did with that entire like change up. I mean, I'm like, if you wanted to end the universe and then restart with more post-crisis and rebirth stuff, fine, do that, but don't like utterly transform it, because that's when the continuity really got messed up when it comes to like those movies, because it's like essentially what you're doing is you're trying to force it. Now I get that like DC told them like you have to include these movies in there, or like do animated things based on those movies. Maybe don't include them in your universe and make them one-off movies, but besides that. So anyway, what I felt was kind of interesting, what's up Canadian Survivalist, what I thought was really interesting about Bloodlines is, again, it had the potential to be something great, because I get it. They're trying to make a like Wonder Woman's version of Hush, because the thing about Hush is it introduces slowly but surely the basic plot of Wonder Woman's like world of Hush, Batman's world. Like it introduces his main villains, it introduces his main relationships and such. They tried to do that, but they also made Vanessa a like rebellious, edgy teenager. And I go, no, stop trying to modernize this. You could have just done the regular Perez that it's supposed to be based on and done it well. Parker says, just to be clear, I don't like Hippolyta and Ares thing in 2009 film, but I get why they went with that approach, even though we can all agree, like it or hate it. Yeah, exactly. But that's the point there. And I'm like, but when they deliberately undermine it and just like completely destroy what's supposed to like be an interesting universe and stuff. Or how about this? And Britt and I were clear about this. If you wanted to end the relationship with Superman, just do it in an actual like, do it in an actual movie, because there was supposed to be a movie, I think, where they broke up, or like a short or something like that. They could have done that. But no, they really decided, okay, we're going to completely like undermine this universe because we don't care. I like Gigantic and Veronica Kill, but they did Julia so dirty. She was yeah, exactly. That's why I say there were good parts of Bloodlines, but the reason why I prefer 2009 is that it respected like her rogues more, even though they only really used the Greek gods. Because Cheetah was just a blink and you mess it. The ending villains was like okay, but then it's like Veronica Kale was great, and Giganta was interesting, but again you make Julia and a mom that basically you could argue loved Diana more than her own daughter, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like that is in no way the relationships. Bloodlines was more brutal than the 2009 movie. Have you seen the 2009 movie? I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that one. Well, Diana legit cuts off Ares' head. So I'm gonna debate that because there was much more blood and gore and stuff in Bloodlines in 2009, because that was back because Bloodlines came out when DC was trying to be more like, for lack of a better term, family friendly and stuff. But so what other questions do you have about these two movies? But what 2009 also does better is Diana acts like Diana, because it's like, hey, look, she is like kinder. It's 2009 in my mind went a little bit also too far into the warrior thing. And the other thing is Diana could have also been a better, like, for lack of a better term, sister to Vanessa, because again, it's like Vanessa has every reason to be pissed off because she's like she's basically the rebellious teenager that thinks no one cares about her. And I go, you could make that argument, you really could, but they really never like build on that. Wonder Woman is basically what 300 was in live action screen film. Yeah, kind of. But yeah, that's like an issue there. But it's like when you move on to like when you compare the two, there is a steep drop in quality that just keeps going. She also went full gender war in 2009, which isn't always a good thing, to be honest. Well, that's true, but it was also Gail Simone writing. But arguably, I'm like, I mean, I get it, but I mean, here's the thing. Steve made it easy for her because Steve was also the one that tried to drug her so that to like get her drunk so that she would like date him and stuff. So I'm like, she has a reason to have maybe a negative version of a negative opinion of men, but I get it. It's not like, it's a little bit like cringy, but so I can kind of agree with that. Wait, quick question for James Gunn: Wonder Woman movie, Bloodlines, or Wonder Woman versus Medusa? What do you mean? But besides that, I'm like, let me see. In terms of like, yeah, it's the sad part is, so Wonder Woman Bloodlines also flopped. Like, it did not sell well, and that's also the contributing factor to why we don't get many Wonder Woman focused like animated projects, because again, well, for one thing, again, WB learns the wrong lessons. I want to be very clear. They learn the wrong lessons and think that just because it doesn't sell well, like this movie, it doesn't actually lead to like, it doesn't actually like they think it means that the audience doesn't like the character and stuff. In terms of character I'd say you have to give it to Wonder Woman Bloodlines. No, because Wonder Woman Bloodlines like completely undermines who Diana is in the later half of the movie. So any character development it gets, any character building, is immediately in the second half of the movie. You know, the insecure comic fans, which of course are mostly men, whenever they say men, they are ready to attack her. Well, yeah, that is very true. It's like at the time when 2009 came out, that was not really that much of an issue in terms of like people being so hypersensitive to it. But yeah, you are right that they'll have that opinion. Should they bring Wonder Woman Bloodline from anime movie to real life? No, dude, do not use any of these animated movies as models. Well, actually, if you're going to use one as a model, use 2009. Do not use Bloodlines. The part of 2009 that was funny to me is when they tried to get Wonder Woman drunk and he was the one that was slumped out. Well, yeah, because since Diana has like has pure blood, that helps. Well, the other thing, they did a fantastic rendition in 2009 of the Clay origin, because what happens is Hippolyta wants to create the kid. So she molds the baby out of clay. And this is the way I would, if I couldn't retcon Trinity out completely, I would do this. Get rid of the Steve part of it. So what you would do is, so the way Hippolyta does this is she molds Diana out of clay, obviously. But what she also does is she cuts her thumb, and the blood gets on the child mound. She holds it up, and the gods like shoot their energy into the baby, which leads to the baby being animated as a kid. That's the way you should do the clay origin, because that's also the thing. Because like magic, that's a way of using the clay origin, but also grounding it more, instead of just saying, oh, she made out of clay and then the magic clay worked. No, you could also do that. But it's like, that's the cool part about it. The way that they also pay homage to the clay origin, all of the elements of Wonder Woman is utter. Even though even though the movie is flawed, 2009 clears. How do you compare the final villains of these two anime movies? Okay, Ares fight is way better, because here's why. The other one, the Ares fight has more stakes, first off, because it's like the government's launching nukes. Everyone's getting more aggressive. The other part that I really like, because I like in Absolute Wonder Woman, where the Amazons were the first protectors of mankind. I love where to fight Ares's army, the Amazons come off their island and come help men. And I also love the line where Hippolyta turns to Artemis and goes, "So you brought your big sword?" And then Hippolyta goes, "It's because Artemis has this ginormous, almost absolute Wonder Woman sword." Then Artemis goes, "Big sword, my queen. This is just my dagger." Wonder Woman 2009 sold really well, and not at the very start, but it did over time. So I don't get why they canceled the sequel. Not selling fast in the stars, not a good excuse. Well, again, because it's like, the other thing is, did they get it's probably what happened was they wanted to get like also other DC movies going, other animated projects for like other characters like Green Lantern and all that stuff. So I guess what they wanted to do is stagger it, and then but by the time they probably had time to do it, they did the new 52 movies, which if they had done a power couple animated movie that is Superman, Wonder Woman from the new 52 and Charles Soule, and made that a animated movie, they could have introduced Wonder Woman there, because you could have used Superman to get people in, and then made because most of that book is a Wonder Woman focused book because of like the gods and such. So you could definitely make that work if you really applied yourself. The problem is, a good portion of these things are not like a good portion of these people are not good like Wonder Woman writers. They really don't care, and that's the sad part, because it's like they should care, obviously, because you got like Diana, because she is like the most important DC character, as I've always said, but they just never make this like actually work. It's sad. It's sad. But anyway, so while you guys get your questions in, I'm going to play the trailer for my comic Athena, the Goddess of Thunder on Kickstarter. So go ahead and back it.
My home has been invaded, my people slaughtered, and I could not do anything to stop it. Not again. I will not lose another home, another family. I am Princess Lyra of the planet Sintragon, Athena, the goddess of thunder, and this is my story.
Go. So yeah, consider backing Athena. The link is in the chat and in the description below. But yeah, ask me any questions you have about these two movies, about Wonder Woman and the animation in general, because we're definitely going to do an entire stream about the DCAU Wonder Woman and the many problems with that interpretation of the character, especially how Bruce Timm and Co. approached this character, because you guys know I'm not that big of a fan of that version of the character. So it's going to be fun to check that out. But yeah, so let me know any questions that you guys have about these two movies, Wonder Woman's animated history, as small as that is, and anything else, because there is a lot of stuff. Bloodlines portrayed her diplomat and compassion side better than the more warrior side of 2009. Bloodlines had balance. Did it though? Arguably, both were the warrior side. I mean, I see what you're saying there. Let me see. Now I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that end, Jerry, because it's like Bloodlines wasn't very balanced when you really look at it. I don't think, at least in my opinion. But it's like because it's like with that movie, Bloodlines was still like the uber aggressive Wonder Woman that I really just don't jive with. However, if you think that was a better balance, okay, that's totally fine. Totally fine. But yeah, so what's another cue you guys have? Anything at all that deals with Wonder Woman? Because this is a Wonder Woman show, Wonder Woman stream, whatever you guys want to know. Particularly in terms of this movie. The way she confronted Vanessa to bring her back and the way she dealt with Kale was key. I'll give you that. Okay, you know what? I'll give you that. I'll definitely agree with that because, well, again, that was the first Wonder Woman animated movie to actually deal with Julia and Vanessa. So there was that. 2009 is awesome. I haven't seen all of Bloodlines, but they are free on YouTube. Yeah, they are. So you can definitely check those out. That's the way I watched them. But yeah, it's in terms of like the Julia and Vanessa thing. That definitely is a part where 2000 where 2000 where like Bloodlines has the advantage, even though they later do questionable stuff with Julia and Vanessa, but the inclusion in and of itself is a bonus because we barely get any Julia and Vanessa content for Wonder Woman as it is. What about you? What other questions, ladies and gents, do you guys have? Anything at all? Did you know Rosario Dawson voiced Wonder Woman no, she voiced Artemis in 2009, and then she voiced Diana in Bloodlines. That's what she did. I'm surprised when Bloodlines showed one of Wonder Woman's biggest feats in the comics, defeating Medusa while blinded, and that doesn't bring your grade up for the movie just a little bit. Because because here's the thing, movies do bringing in like cool stuff like from the comics, but not having like substance. That's my problem with it, because it's like, look, because my biggest pet peeve is when the creators behind these movies do this, they'll go, okay, so let's like include this, so then they won't like because then the like fanboys won't be pissed off when we completely like destroy a pre-established universe. Let me put it this way: Wonder Woman Bloodlines is okay at best when it comes to a Wonder Woman movie in and of itself. But as a movie, as part of a shared universe, it is horrible. That's the thing. Because you deliberately undermine something that people liked. Well, let me put it this way. It wasn't like they did Alone that started with Death of Superman and Reign of Superman, but they continued it and then just put Diana back with a person that was arguably a stalker in this time period. So I'm just not a big fan with how they like inorganically like undermine the character and the character's like appearing, if you will. And again, you make Vanessa Capitalis a bad mom like that. Are you kidding me? They basically made it like, oh yeah, Julia's right, Vanessa's right, because you made it look like what's the word, that like Julia loved Diana more than Vanessa, and I go, no, that should never be the thing. That should never 100% be the thing. But again, too many of these like these writers think that. But again, the fighting blindfolded, that is really cool. I'll give you that. But they didn't do it. That's the other thing. That lasted like only for the movie. But the thing about the comics that's cool is that not only did she beat Medusa, but in the comics, again, she fought the entire Justice League blindfolded. So just doing that, okay, that's fine, but you just undid it at the end. So I'm like, you realize it loses the effect if it doesn't last long. And I get that they couldn't have it last as long, but then just don't do it, though, because part of why that's cool with the blind stuff is what she does after that and how it affects her as a character. Yeah, so what else do you guys got? What other questions? And what other like Wonder Woman related questions? We can even talk about the comics if you guys want. Considering the fact that Wonder Woman's like that the main Wonder Woman run is horrible and declining in sales, and so is our good old friend Trinity. Trinity's at 192 out of 200. Yes, that is right. 192 out of 200. Perfectly balanced, as all things should be. Okay, that's the other thing, NJ. Thanks for bringing that up. So Diana like tries to sneak off the island, but then she's confronted by her mother. But then you have Diana and her mother get into a sword fight over her leaving the island. No, do not do that. Like, I'm sorry, no. I'm sick and tired of like Hippolyta and Diana fighting. Honestly, them getting into a sword fight over this is very Tom King. That's why I really hate that. Because remember, I'm watching this after seeing like Diana punch her mom in the face and then get punched by her own daughter. So that really like colors the way I look at it. But it's like, so then and it's like, at least the 2017 movie had it where like obviously Hippolyta was like, what's the word? She was like disappointed that Diana was leaving the island, but she basically didn't try and stop her. And she goes, yeah, I knew you would try and sneak out because it's who you are. But and obviously she was like upset and stuff. But it wasn't like she tried to attack her. Like, that's the other problem where I'm like, what the hell is this? Do you, what's up, Bruce Wayne? Do you feel any of those movies could have been better if they included more characters like Cersei, Donna, or Cassie? Well, yeah, exactly. That's the other thing that I would have liked to see is Diana, like, we could see her adopt the Wonder Girls, train them and such, and like that should have been the movie, honestly. It's her with the Wonder Girls, because you even had Superboy and Lord knows a lot of the Robins in like the other in like the Superman movies and the Batman movies at this point. Do you think Wonder Woman's otherwise Wonder Woman disguised as Wonder Woman for the JSA? That's my theory. No, they never do that. Like in both movies, they never give like really any like indicator of that. It's more of like because like she doesn't trust man's world, but they never give us an indicator that she has ever stepped foot onto man's world. The only one where she does is in 2009, but in 2009 it's established that she leaves man's world with the Amazons and then just stays on the island. At least showed her being a mother on like Bloodlines. Yeah, and it's like Hippolyta was like, no, you have another mesh in Diana to fight Ares. They barely showed Dawn at the end of the Titans Judas contract movie. I know, right? She just got a blink and you miss a cameo. And I go, oh, great. This is definitely going to lead to something, right? And then Apocalypse War kills her off. Both of the Wonder Girls were low-key underrated in the DC AMU. I mean, Superboy and Damon got more attention. Well, yeah. And Donna was hinted at the end of Bloodlines, like NJ said, but they never did anything else with her. So I'm like, what? She was just a background character. And I get that, like, they didn't get any more Wonder Woman, like, characters. And maybe if they had gotten more movies, they would have, like, expanded and done more. But the problem, again, is it's like, because it flopped, and because Bloodlines flopped and they didn't get to do anymore, that's when I'm like, okay, when do I like why do I care, honestly? Like that's an issue there. But it's, again, I would have liked it if they actually like included more of the Wonder Woman characters. Because again, if it's supposed to be Wonder Woman's Hush, Bloodlines, and Hush is renowned. Okay, hang on. I need my visual aids. If Hush is renowned for being like the introduction for a lot of people for Batman because it introduces so much of his world and the relationships and such, why wouldn't you include this? It's like, so you undermine Vanessa and Diana's relationship. Let me put it this way: if you didn't want to do that, maybe cut back on like a villain. Maybe include like Diana meeting Donna for the first time or something. You could have, but you didn't. But yeah, both the Wonder Girls are definitely underused. And it's like, we can't even say that the DC, that like Young Justice counts, because that's not part of the DC AMU. Even though in the last few seasons, they adopted the AMU designs. Aside from being more of a mother in 2009, she also kicked butt a lot. Oh, do you remember when we first see Hippolyta, when she's like has all those creatures on top of her, and then she just goes, ha! And then she like, this is the first time we see her, and she's like standing there, slow motion. The bodies are flying back, and she's like looking like a badass. That's the other reason why I love 2009 more, because it feels more epic. It definitely feels, I think someone said this earlier, it definitely feels more like 300 than like the other one did. And I've always said that the Amazon, any portrayal of the Amazons should include some elements from 300, because of the way that took like ancient warfare and made it cool. The Ares thing is stupid, I'll give you that. But besides that, I'm like, oh yes, this is epic. Like, Hippolyta was a badass in this movie. She even led the Amazons into battle and came to aid her daughter. Like, You can't tell me that is not like such a badass thing ever. I just really, the more I watch 2009, because I've watched it a lot since it's been added to YouTube for free. It is just like, it's what, besides some questionable character, creative decisions like the Ares thing or like the portrayal of Steve, I'm watching this and I'm like, this is freaking dope. Like, this is what I wanted in a Wonder Woman 2000 animated movie. And honestly, if Bloodlines was more like this, like, they should have done it with like Ares and Cersei teaming up. Bingo! That would have worked great. I'm saying, if you had adopted, like this way, let's say you didn't do that. If you take, Veronica Cale and Ares, who was the better villain? Honestly, they both were good. I kind of prefer Kale because Ares was a little too generic as a villain in 2009, where Kale was more nuanced. So I'll say Kale. That's the advantage that Bloodlines has. It has the better villain. But going back to 2009, it's like, if they had made Bloodlines like 2009 in that way and adopted a lot of those principles, guess what? Then I don't think Bloodlines would have flopped as bad, because NJ's right. 2009 was successful. And it's like, if you had done that, guess what? You definitely would have, like, you would have been able to make more of those movies. But it's like, again, when it's like when Wonder Woman writers feel the need to say they love Perez, but then deviate wildly from Perez, like King, like a bunch of other creatives. Arguably, the only creative to ever properly follow up Perez is Jimenez, because Rucka kind of undermined it, but Jimenez was like the one that nailed it. Rucka was too busy trying to make Cheetah sympathetic or like a love interest for Diana, even though that's icky as hell. But in terms of straight up just Wonder Woman, I'm like, yeah, that is the best. That it's like, again, that's the principles that they should adapt. I've long said, if they were to adopt the principles of that's not, wait, man, I love the fights here at the shopping. Instead of barefoot Diana kicking butt, something didn't know I needed. Yeah, I'm like, that's unique as well. So I'm like, they did a lot with this movie that I was like, okay, there's something cool with this. And she's fighting like a Greek monster, and it's like, you could have done more of like her other rogues and make them like mind controlled or like other creatures. But I get that they wanted to keep it like simple at first, so I can kind of understand that. But I really, 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 really dig how they kept it simple, but it still felt epic and grand. That's how you know that's the proper amount of, what's the B word, everyone? What's the B word? Balance. That's the proper amount of balance that you can really nail. So that's how you make a solid Wonder Woman animated movie. Because here's the way you need to do it. It could have had Giganta to help Diana with monsters, or had her be like a cameo of maybe she works for the government, or she's just a criminal that's under attack by monsters, so she does that. Yeah, totally. Now, if I were doing a Wonder Woman movie, here's the thing. You want to lean completely in on the Greek mythology part of Wonder Woman like this. That's the other problem that Bloodlines ran into, is that I get that they wanted to expand. They wanted to what's the word? I get that they wanted to introduce you to all of Diana's world, but they kind of didn't do enough with the Greek mythology thing. I mean, they even turned Medusa into a cyborg, and I'm like, I don't like that at all. That's the one part of Bloodlines where I'm like, no, absolutely not. I hate Medusa being a cyborg. However, it's like that was the most Greek mythology like element they used, but it's like everything else. I'm like, why don't you? You have the blueprint here. Just do like just make it like the Perez Wonder Woman with emphasizing Greek mythology. That's the advantage that 2009 has, is they went heavy into the Greek mythology inspiration for Wonder Woman, as opposed to trying to kind of ignore it with what's the word, with Bloodlines. You know what I mean? It's because and that's what I would do if I were a Wonder Woman writer. You gotta like use Greek mythology as a template, because Diana is the character that is ready made for Greek mythology stories. That you could just take any Greek mythology story, take elements from it, plop it in Wonder Woman. You are good to go, my friends. You are 110% good to go for creating a solid Wonder Woman plotline with compelling characters and villains. That's all you need. Just do that. But again, too many Wonder Woman writers, I think, don't know Greek mythology. The ones that I would say knew it pretty well are Rocca, are Jimenez, and like so it was Rocca, Jimenez, and like a bunch of other like a lot of the post-crisis writers really understood Greek mythology, I think. But the other ones kind of didn't really like apply it that well. Kelly's the go-to. Obviously, yeah, Kelly Thompson is the GOAT. She understands Greek mythology really, really well. That's why, again, I am looking forward to actually seeing like to seeing if she gets like the main Wonder Woman book, because that would be freaking dope if she gets assigned on Wonder Woman to take over for King. She can do it. She is one of those writers that I really think could like write Wonder Woman really well. Amen. Yeah, she like 100% like she 100% gets Greek, because again, she is look at what happens. Kelly Thompson is literally applying all of the principles that I just told you with Wonder Woman, and guess what? It's one of the top selling books at DC. Not one of the top selling Wonder Woman books, even though it is top selling comics in general. That should tell you something, that you're doing this wrong. That's why the Sovereign doesn't work, because Wonder Woman is not really associated with America beyond her costume, and that's just because they made it so like it was created out of a tribute to Steve Trevor's mom when the mother sacrificed her life to protect the island. It's like that's the thing. You need to like roll with that. But it's like they really don't, a lot of times they don't care. How do you feel that Marvel gotten it next and not DC? Do you think she'd be a cool villain for Wonder Woman? Next, the Goddess of Night? No, I'm fine with that, because Wonder Woman has so many other characters, so many other like mythology characters I think could also work. It's not like like you could have like Strife be a villain. I mean, Strife is going to play a role in Stephanie Williams's fill-in issues for Wonder Woman for Wonder Woman, like what's the word, like 2000 for Wonder Woman, for like 29 and 30. So you're definitely going to be able to like to have some fun with that. And by the way, yes, I did pre-order multiple copies, as a matter of fact, of that series to vote with my wallet, ladies and gentlemen. That's why I always tell you, vote with your wallet. I got the regular covers and I think the Dave Nakayama covers. I want to see if there are any Artgerm covers because it's Artgerm. But the only artist I will never pre-order any of his covers are Frank Cho, because if you've seen the stuff that he posts on social media, the man is a perv. I'm just going to tell you that right there. Yeah, so David Nakayama, and there's an Aha Wonder Woman. That's interesting. But I'm more of the Nakayama Wonder Woman. Also, Christian Ward, I like that. That's interesting. There are such good covers for Wonder Woman sometimes. But yeah, so what other questions you guys have about Wonder Woman, her world, her comics? What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Let me know. And based on the awesome mother-daughter story she has in Absolute, we know she'll bring back Hippolyta. She'll either bring her back or emphasize the mother-daughter relationship, because it could be DC won't let her because they want that like status quo. However, NJ, if she can't bring her back, in other words, like undo her being a goddess, I have no doubt that Kelly Thompson will write a good story that emphasizes that. So it's not like the end of the world if that doesn't work, because Kelly at this point has my trust to handle Wonder Woman very well. Like, extremely well. But it's like, because again, it's like we could have something that we want, or a writer could have something they want to do. But if DC won't let them do it, then it's like we don't really have a say there. That's the thing. But it's like, besides that, it's like, okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. I like that. Yeah, but any other questions about Wonder Woman that you guys think are interesting, or anything you guys want to know about her animated movies and such? Because there's so much that we could talk about. There's so many like things that we can do. I have to remember what's next week's topic. I think. Let me see. I hope it's not too much to ask your birthday and Social Security. Ha! Nice, nice, Gandalf. Yeah, I know. Not too much at all. My let's see. Yeah, but anyway, I'm sure it's a joke. But let's see what else in terms of Wonder Woman. But so what topics are you guys interested in covering next week? I need to remember, what was the other one that we were gonna do? Bring her back won't change the current status quo because she can be with that. Yeah, I know it won't. But in the event DC is a stickler about that and decides that she needs to stay, I'm just saying, in the, let's say, unlikely event that happens, Kelly can still tell a fantastic story. So it's not like it's the end of the world if she can't. I would like it if she can bring Diana back to if she can like start rebuilding it like normal. But honestly, you never know with these people. You really, really never know. It's like there's a lot of BS with this, trust me. There's a lot of stuff that DC editorial is a stickler on. And that's why I'm like, okay, don't be altogether like convinced that this is going to happen. I'm sorry, hello. I can't be serious, man. It's all good. It's all. I knew you were joking. You're good. You're good. It's been 4 years, man. And politics has been useless. Is nothing like her. She's a key character. No, I know that. I know that. But I'm saying Kelly probably will. But if she can, she'll still be able to tell a good story. Now, if you're asking what do I want her to do, yes, I want Hippolyta back to normal. This whole goddess thing was honestly kind of dumb. But in terms of like what I would prefer, yeah, you guys know that. So let's see what. So what should be our next week's topic? Well, let me see. I'm trying to remember what was like on the list of stuff that we had last time. I probably should have written that down, but you guys know me. You guys know me. But let's see. So we did animated movies. Let's see here. We did animated movies. So let's. What do we want to do here? We did top 5 villains. We did animated movies, and there's one more I forget. All right, so let me see here. So it was in the Asgard one. I'm just pulling this up so we can check. But besides that, what other questions you guys have? So it's I don't remember if this was your point, but it was a YouTuber talking Wonder Woman. They made a point. They want her main arsenal to go back to her braces and lasso. Well, with me, it's more of it depends on the situation she's in, because when it comes to like Diana, her warrior side, because she is half a warrior at least. Her warrior side is like, look, if she's fighting doomsday or devastation or genocide or anything like that, yeah, I'll bring the sword out. But if it's like a regular villain, like even Cheetah or Giganta, you don't need the sword and the shield. So it's hyper dependent on what threat she is facing. How would you fix Trinity? All right. Do I have to keep her? If the answer is yes, all right, here's how you fix her. First thing you do, you retcon her out. Hear me out on this. What you do is you retcon the baby out, completely remove her for 1 or 2 years. Create a separation in people's memory between the Trinity they hate and this new Trinity. Then what you do, you reintroduce her, have her do the actual Clay origin. Steve plays no role in it. Don't name her Trinity because that's freaking stupid. And then do not let Tom King anywhere near her. That's how you do it. But I have a video. It was Wonder Woman Wednesday 2 weeks ago, but in my video section, I do have how I would have fixed up Trinity. So there is that. And let me see. Who is the other female Amazons leaving? Who is the other female Amazon leaving before Wonder Woman? What do you mean? I think it's because of nothing of significance. Her being a god, not doing anything for 4 years. There's a high chance they'll be okay. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, 100% that could work. 100%. Aqua Baby deserved better than Trinity. I know, right? I wonder what a new a Wonder Woman anime movie would be. Please, nothing that has to do with Tom King. Agreed 100%. I think the shield gives you unique Wonder Woman blocking style and throwing hands is like a badass wrestler. Sword and shield is just way more boring. Again, don't use that for every threat. Just do it for like Darkseid invades, take the sword and the shield. Even Grail, sword and the shield. But practically every other villain and threat, use the lasso embracers, because it's all about proportionality to the threat. And because she's a warrior, she's trained to recognize that. It's like why she's not always in the golden armor, because that's like the world is about to end type of armor. But yeah, so and in terms of, let's see, what else? So let's go for our poll for the week, and then we can talk about that. So let's do this. All right. Let's do, okay. Engage with audience. Yes. So let me do this. Start a poll. All right. Next week's episode. Let's do this. Next week's episode could be DCAU Wonder Woman. Can go with that. We can go with, let's see, what else? Top 5 Wonder Woman stories. Can do that. Where is Cersei's daughter now, and should she be a rival for Trinity, or should she be reformed and become a sidekick to likes of Don Troy? I don't know where Cersei's daughter is. I prefer her being like an antagonist. I'm sick and tired of DC constantly like redeeming their villains. Can we just have regular villains? That's why I don't like Cheetah being reformed. Let's see what else. What's a run that we can do? What's a run? We can do okay. I know who is Wonder Woman, which is the storyline that came out after Infinite Crisis, and it was like Wonder Woman 1 year later and stuff, and it showed her like being a member of the DEO and stuff. Who is Wonder Woman storyline? And one more. Let's go with. Let's discuss. Let's see. And if you guys have any suggestions that you would like to see, let me know. I know. Let's do this. So we are going. So the options are DCAU Wonder Woman, top 5 Wonder Woman stories, who is Wonder Woman storyline, and the Children of Wonder Woman. So in other words, I can talk about the other times when DC has given Wonder Woman kids, whether or not that's Hunter Prince, Stevie from like DC, from Superman, Batman Generations and such, and talk about how they did it infinitely better than Tom King did. So that way we can also show that Tom King has not done anything original with his Wonder Woman run. It's all like ripoffs and inferior like doings, if you will. So what do you guys like in terms? So far we have Children of Wonder Woman is winning at 50%. Who is Wonder Woman got 25 and DCAU got 25. So far there are 14 of you watching on YouTube, and for those of you on Twitch, please head over to YouTube to vote. But yeah, so let me know so far, because so far it looks like I'm going to be talking about the Children of Wonder Woman, which I'm fine doing that because I love doing that. It's more blasting of one, and we can also add on to that and why Trinity doesn't work. Hear me out. If Donna had a sidekick, I don't know enough about Donna to really be able to like give you guys the quality analysis that you deserve. So I could research more on Donna, and I'll do that. We'll put a pin in that. Gotta do all of them eventually. Oh, I will. In fact, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take a picture of this so that I have a list of like all these. These are gonna be the next 4 like episodes. By the way, what Jimenez did with Cersei showed that evil people can be good parents. I don't know how true that is, but it's very interesting. Yeah, that's cool. I like that. All right, there you go. So I took a picture of that. All of those are gonna be like options. So DCAU is tied with Children of Wonder Woman. Interesting. All right. This is getting good. Yeah, I feel like Cersei's daughter Ida could still end up being a good person. She could. She definitely could. If DC actually uses her. So again, go in there and vote, because there's 12 people there, and so far only 5 people have voted. I want more votes. More votes. You should react to the Wonder Woman Lobo battle from KO. I know you don't care too much for it, but just the one. No, I am going to. I'm going to wait for that to come out, and then I'll have that as an addendum for like the episodes out. But yeah, I'm definitely going to cover that issue. I'm probably going to have to. And I will be doing a discussion of the 2 Wonder Woman issues that are written by Stephanie Williams when they come out. I'm going to wait until both come out so I can like cover both as one. And obviously my objective is going to be covering mostly everything Wonder Woman. I'm saving the King stuff, like the full King bashing, until it's announced he's leaving, because then I can have like Britt and Jid and a bunch of my other Wonder Woman friends on to like blast it in general and talk about why it'll never be remembered as anything other than the worst run in the character's history. But yeah, so if that's where we're staying so far, so what I'll do is I'll ready my coin flip. So we're going to flip a coin between the 2. That King bashing will be historic. Yeah, especially since when I do it, he will have been announced as leaving the book. So that's going to be really fun. So let's do this. All right. I am going to, once again, flip a coin. And if it's heads, it's DCAU. If it's tails, it's Children of Wonder Woman. Now, again, all of these are going to be done over the course of the next 4 weeks. It's just determining what will be next week's episode. So flipping. Heads is DCAU. Tails, it is the Children of Wonder Woman. Okay, DCAU Wonder Woman is next week. We will be talking about DCAU Wonder Woman. In other words, like Justice League Unlimited, Justice League versus the Fatal 5 and stuff, and maybe even some of the tie-in comics to discuss why they may have, like, why it's not a good version of the character. Might be the corniest thing ever if Elida became a superhero. Her name would be Legacy, just how Lizzie's name is Trinity. Oh, trust me, Lizzie's name won't be Trinity anytime soon. I guarantee it. It won't. But yeah, so all right, we are going to be doing the DCAU Wonder Woman. So I'll do some promo and then we'll log off for the day. So again, in terms of like content you guys can expect, Wonder Woman Wednesday, I'm thinking about what I want to do. But as for like Under 2 Capes, we're going to be discussing 300 since it is the 300th episode. And then for Comics League Dark, we'll be just hanging out, probably talking about why like Marvel seems to hate Spider-Man. For Super Pals, Robert and I are going to be talking about the entire Summer of Superman initiative, what we thought of it, what were our favorite moments of it, some of the weaknesses of the initiative. And then as for like Super Wonder Legacy, Britt and I will be comparing Superman and Wonder Woman to John Carter and Deja Thoris from the John Carter of Mars series. In other words, one of the inspirations for Superman, mind you. And let's see, what else? And then for movie night, we are concluding our coverage of the DCEU with Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. In other words, a pretty solid conclusion to the DCEU. So that's what I got. Hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Be sure to like it, share it, and be sure to think about consider backing Athena. It's written by me, drawn by my friend Dawson. It's a tribute to Wonder Woman, Super Wonder, and like all my favorite parts of DC. And it really helped me out, guys. And if you can't back it, consider sharing it. But other than that, everyone, stay heroic. And by the link to back Athena, it should be higher in the chat, or it's going to be in the description below. So stay heroic, everyone. Remember, Lois Lane is Lois Lane. She belongs to General Zod. Steve Trevor, Steve Never. He belongs in a hydraulic press. Zoe Max about for life. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.